Good afternoon, viewers. Welcome to the 14th episode of the Chlorophyll podcast. We started by wanting to celebrate our 25th anniversary, and as they say, by popular demand, we continue to celebrate it even in our 26th year. Today, we have an extremely unusual guest, Rina Soni, who we are going to learn from about a very unusual organization. She is the country director, executive director of Passing Gifts. And I'm sure very few people have heard that the currency that she uses to transform lives in rural India is goats. So before I tell you more about how she uses goats as a currency, of course, she uses other things. Let us hear from Rina about how she translated her life from one sector to the other. So, welcome, Rina. I'm sure everybody is excited about understanding this fascinating new brand that you are the head of. Tell us, you spent 18 years in blue chip finance sector, and then what was the trigger to come into Passing Gifts?
First of all, thank you so much, Kiran, for inviting me for this podcast. It's actually an honor to share this screen with you. And everybody, asks me this question, like after spending so many years in the corporate sector, what made you switch to this sector, and why would somebody leave a comfortable career in banking and financial services, vice president marketing, a lucrative career? But let me tell you, Kiran, that this was something that I always, wanted to do. It was there in my heart that I wanted to do something where it mattered the most. And when I was working with the banking financial services, I would often talk to my colleagues in office and ask them about, how can you work in the social sector? In fact, I would meet some of, colleagues' wives or spouses, partners, etc., and who were working in social sector just to understand what this social sector is all about. But frankly speaking, I got no headway, but the desire was so strong. And like Shah Rukh Khan says, अगर किसी चीज को बहुत शिद्दत से चाहो तो सारी कायनात आपको उससे मिलवाने के लिए कोशिश करती है. So that's what happened. Yeah. So that's what happened, with me also. One of my colleague, Vidhu Goyal, she had uploaded my CV on barefootjobs.com. This was a website which focuses specifically on social sector jobs. I had turned 40 then. I was vice president marketing. I was moving up the corporate ladder. But then I realized that the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. On the outside, I was like really successful, but I was restless, inside. And that's the time when, I got a call from Oxfam, and I met the then CEO, Nisha. And when I met her, something in me, shifted, and she didn't look at my resume, but she, looked at my, potential. And from there, my journey began. And when I joined, Oxfam, I saw world. It was like putting on a new pair of glasses. Like everything was, so different. The issues were, so bigger. The, like they say, the stakes were so high. And then I did my first, field visit. And at that time, the women whom I met, the project participant of Oxfam, she said, दीदी पहले हमें लगता था कि हमारी प्रॉब्लम बहुत बड़ी है, अब हमें लगता है कि हम अपनी प्रॉब्लम से बहुत बड़े हैं. When she said that, it was like no longer about my career change. It was about their courage. It was about their resilience. And this is what the social sector has given me, a totally a new lens. And it also taught me that I need not have all the answers right from the beginning. Like, you
Right.
need the courage to step off the wrong ladder, and the humility, you know, get onto a new, ladder. And let me tell you, Kiran, the view is very different from there.
It's a fascinating analogy. Yes. So I'm going to call you now the Shah Rukh Khan of the social sector, since that is how you landed here. For those of you who didn't know, August 21 was the International Goat Day, and Rina and company celebrated it in India by honoring goat Didis who make more than a lakh of rupees per year. It's fascinating. I mean, if I was younger, Rina, I would say it's so cool. It's so, what a beautiful different universe. So tell the viewers about the concept of passing gifts, how it started, what it's doing, how it impacts. All yours.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, 21st August, we celebrated the International Goat Day, and it was a truly, the most joyous moment for us, because these Didi whom we celebrated, they were not just, these small women goat farmers, but these are actually, entrepreneurs, and,
I
and
see.
those who have not just achieved, as I would say, economic achievement for them in terms of becoming Lakpati Didis, but there's a transformation in terms of their dignity. So at Heifer, at passing gifts, we have the philosophy of passing gifts embedded across our programs. So
Okay.
when we give any support in our program, it can be any, gift of a goat, it can be gift of seeds, etc. It is given with this thing that they have to pass it on. So the philosophy behind this passing on is that these project participants are not just recipients of these gifts from us. In fact, they come and they shoulder a responsibility, and they're entrusted a responsibility that once they stabilize, once their income starts growing, once they have learned, once they have grown, they have to pass this gift on. So, for example, if there is a goat that has been given to one of our project participant, when
Right.
the goat multiplies, the goat has to be passed on. In fact, Kiran, I was like really amazed, because the value of these goat is close to 12-15,000 rupees when they grow up and when they start selling them. But
Okay.
I'm really intrigued that these smallholder farmers, they're hardly earning a lakh or so as income. How would they part away with this
Something which.
much amount, something which is big? And I witnessed this passing on ceremony, and it was such a moving ceremony. And when I asked one of them that what is it that you're giving it, she says, because now I have become a donor, I'm no longer a recipient. So
Beautiful.
so this entire passing on that we do, what it gives them dignity, it gives them leadership, it builds a sense of solidarity. And now when the first offspring is given, then the next goat, again the offspring is given by the next person, and the chain reaction continues. So this is like there's a mind shift change that happens with these Didis. Earlier that they they think that they were just receiving help, but here you add to them this gift of confidence, this gift of knowledge, and this is what this they keep passing it on. And now
Beautiful.
imagine this happening at a village level, at a community level, that they are no longer worried just about their income. When they are worried about their neighbors, well-being, their neighbors, how are they doing? So trust grows, transformation happens, and people just not just looking at themselves, but looking at the wider thing. I think that is what this passing on is. It's a ripple, a chain reaction that continues. So that's what this is all about.
Yes, yes. It is very touching. During this entire journey, now that you have a different perspective, you have a ladder, leaning against a different wall. Were there any barriers? Are there things that you hadn't expected and had to face and find solutions to while you're doing this very heartwarming task of creating these Didis? Did you face any barriers as such?
Yeah, yes, Kiran, there are, challenges. So when we work with these Didis, we work with the indigenous breeds because that is what has maximum resilience. They are climate resilient breed that we work with. So getting, these Didis to come together in a group. So we take time in terms of investing in building the social capital. So we
I
have a program which is known as the 12 cornerstone training program, in which we work with these women smallholder farmers, and challenge is getting them to work together. When they come out of their house for these trainings, uh, this they are often mocked at. People question
oh
them, what are you doing, why are you doing? So that's the first hurdle that we uh, you know uh, that comes in. But I think with this training, with this work, and what we believe at Heifer and our underlying philosophy here at Passing Gifts is that everybody has unlimited potential. How we can help these women unleash this potential, and
right.
that is when they say that they become from a recipient to a donor. So this is the first hurdle. The other is when I'm talking about the indigenous breed that we work with.
Okay.
How do you ensure that these are taken care of, that you are taking care of these animals? So we have a training program which is talking about improved animal health that is built in. We also look at working that we don't want, the hurdle is that we don't want it to be a grant based model. So how do we convert it into an entrepreneurial model so that
Beautiful.
even after we have moved on, they continue? So we have a community agrovet entrepreneur model that is embedded into it. Now once they start looking at it, like the goats grow, how do we take them? Goats need fodder. So how do you help them build fodder villages? And then when they are collectivized in a group and they are producing these goats, they have to sell it. So how do
Right.
you organize them into farmer producing organizations? So those are some challenges that we face, but we work alongside with them and providing them market access. And Heifer has a unique model where we say invest in organizations also which provide them this access. So for example, Heifer Impact Capital invested in an organization by name of Zap Fresh, so that we are able to provide a market to these women. Most of these small ruminants, you don't get insurance for them. So we partnered with organizations like Weather risk insurance organization, and we introduced a parametric insurance in our program. So if there is a
Beautiful.
fluctuation in the humidity or the temperature, the uh, the claim is paid out irrespective whether the small ruminant dies or not. So those are some of the challenges that we face when we are working in with the communities in the places that we are in. But that's how we try to uh, you know s- work around these challenges and build their resilience, build their entrepreneurship, so that we are building something which is built to last. When we are working with not only just goats, we are also working, and we have farmer field schools. So we work with more than 130,000 smallholder women farmers. Majority of them are women farmers, and we work with more than 6,600 self-help groups, providing them technical assistance, seeing things from their lens. So that's beauty of our model, that we are looking at how do we look at things from their lens. So using tools like fasal chakras, etc., to understand what are the climate patterns, and developing these plans along with them, because we know that they know their situation the best, and they come up with solutions which are best suited for them. So so that's how we overcome these challenges that we identify along with the Didis and the
Right.
project participants that we work with.
Right. Right. So before I go ahead, just to remind the viewers, any questions you have for Rina, here is an expert. Put them in the comment section, and we'll keep time aside for her to answer. So, Rina, so fundamentally, what you're saying, it doesn't stop at uh, creating entrepreneurs with those goats. There is an entire ecosystem that you're creating. So if they have to sell them, we'll facilitate selling. If they need insurance, we'll facilitate insurance. And so it's a full-fledged ecosystem that helps these women find their dignity, find their independence, find their empowerment. That's roughly the soul of everything that you are doing. So my next question, just to shift a bit, uh, we were pleasantly surprised when you came on board and you talked about wanting a very clear definition of the brand, wanting a very clear expression of the brand and identity of the brand. In fact, we spent a lot of time even on the brand line. Where did that come from? Where did this belief that the correct methodology of branding, the correct expression of a brand will help your cause? Where did that conviction come from in your case?
I think that conviction has, always been there when we set up as a wholly owned subsidiary of Heifer International, and when we had, christianed ourselves at Passing Gifts, Private Limited. It was very clear that we wanted to build an identity which was unique to us, but we
Okay.
also wanted to lean in on the inheritance that we had of Heifer. So
So,
as
Renu, just a pause. Not enough people will know Heifer either, just as they won't know about passing it. So, a couple of minutes on Heifer itself from you.
Okay. So, Kiran, Heifer, and for all the viewers, Heifer is an organization which has been in existence for more than 80 years. And we work with smallholder farmers across the globe. As I speak to you, we are working across 19 countries in Asia, Africa, as well as in Americas. And our work is centered around smallholder farmer. How do we transform the food systems in favor of smallholder farmers? It's such an irony that the smallholder farmers who feed the world go hungry, and they have no say in this entire food system. So we are talking about, and our work across the globe is, how do we shift the food systems in favor of the smallholder farmers? How do we end hunger and poverty while caring for the earth? So that's what is our overarching umbrella thought around which we work. And in India also, we have been working since 1955 in various shapes and form. And recently we set up as a wholly owned subsidiary. And
Right.
that's where, Kiran, we thought, like I was talking about, that we need to build an identity for ourselves, which talks about this philosophy. Because, like we were talking about, this passing on is not just about passing on of the the goat or the seeds or this thing, but it is passing on the gift of courage, the gift of
Beautiful.
the dignity, the gift of community. And as you and for us, like, it was very clear, and for me it was very clear, that brand is not about what you do, but it is about what you believe in. So
Correct.
this is what we believed in. We believe in the limitless potential that each of them hold. So how is it that we can, talk about our brand was not just showing the work that we do with farmers or the goats or with communities, but it was how do we represent our belief system? A belief that people are not defined by poverty but by their potential.
Beautiful.
And I really want to really thank the Chlorophyll team as well, and especially you and the entire team, Khushbu, Rochna, who worked along with us, that how do we communicate this at ethos, like, that when we are giving one gift, we are transforming lives in many ways. So the question was, how do we translate this into an identity? And I
Correct.
think the conversations that we had with all of you, when you asked us those tough questions, which made us think that, what are you at the core? What do you stand for? And it
Yes.
was not just me, but the entire team, sitting around that,
Correct.
meeting hall with you. And what are the values that, so you helped us dig that deeper, and you helped us, looked at it, very, very, you know, differently. And I think
Yes.
that has really helped us. So it was not about creating a logo, you would often say. It's like
Correct.
he says, logo is one of, but how do we do it? And that is how we, came up with this line that you helped us craft, the ripples of change.
Correct.
How from one thing it just goes and goes and goes ahead.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah. So we'll say a quick thank you to the art director and the writer also, but we'll come back to you now. We have lots of questions that have come up on stage. But before we go there, uh, Rina, from childhood to first job to second job to third job to one career, and now suddenly, I don't even know whether you call it a career. I think you are going to call it a calling. It's
yes.
what you mentioned about that quote. Now, how has this calling changed you, Rina Soni, as a human being? What has happened? What was initially there? You were like literally at the top of the game in finance, in a bank, in a blue chip bank, and then you are now your country director. All of that is true, but this is such a totally different universe. What has changed for Rina inside herself?
That's a tough question. Uh, when I moved to the social sector, Kiran, first of all, uh, you know, what shifted in me is that I come from a totally urban background. I had never been to a village before I went to Oxfam. That was my first stint in the development sector. I saw Bharat and India. That was a big, shift with me. I still remember my first meeting at Oxfam, and I happened to ask this naive question. I'm sitting and they're discussing a gender campaign, and I asked, "What is the manpower?" And I still remember Julie, who was our gender lead, she looking at me and giving me this look. She says, "Rina, it's not manpower, it's person power." And I never thought about. She said, "I said Julie is one and the same thing," but she said, "No, Rina, it's person power." And then I got it. Oh, how do you use language?
Beautiful.
How do you? So I think
Absolutely.
what is many things have I've learned when I worked with the development sector, that sometimes I had this very naive belief that poor are poor because they are lazy. That's how we are taught. Look, but then when I met some of these domestic workers that used to work with, and I saw how systems were driving them away. So it was about lack of access. So
Correct.
I learned, and this thing shifted in me that I don't have all the answers. And what shifted in me, that I found that these women whom we work with, they are so much better than us. I am so much worried about me myself, but they are worried about their community. They are worried about what is happening, in case they don't see their friend for the next 2 days, kya ho gaya uski zindagi mein, they would go and
Wow.
find out. So it this has given me a new vocabulary. It has given me, like I say, a different new lens altogether. And it has also, one most important thing, it has taught me that, real leadership is not just about, climbing the ladder, but it is like holding the ladder for somebody, very steadily so that they can climb too. I think
How
that
that?
has the shift which has, happened for me to speak per se.
Yeah,
So,
that's really what a beautiful, enriching definition of leadership. This is the first time I heard this particular idea. We are going to go into some of the questions. Uh, so here is one: how do you get funders and donors? Do you need funders and donors? And if they are, how do you get them? Because that's what everywhere, all the NGOs that we work with, that is the first question that they ask, that we ask them.
So I can talk about generally generically as well, but I'll talk specifically for passing gifts contest. So We do have corporate partners who fund our work, and we also have uh, uh, you know uh, we are like a technical agency, so we do get work for the technical work that we do. So for example, we did a goat value chain study toolkit for GIZ, so that's our client. We did something similar, for Reliance Foundation. So that's how we get our work. We have a dedicated team, who does the landscape mapping, and then we position our work, and that's how we get this fund.
So what
And
do
when
the
you're talking about how do we get more donors, Pooja, your question is, I think you have to have stories. If you are able to show stories and human stories about the impact that you are able to create on ground, and talk more about that, that is how funders get educated about the work that we do. And when we are doing the work, I think it also depends on your programming, because we are not just looking at doing a program on the ground, but looking at how does it bring a larger shift, in the ecosystem space as well. So that's the approach that we look at. And depending on the work that you have, you can choose whether you want to focus on retail fundraising or you want to build the corporate portfolio. That would depend from organization to organization, and depending on the investment capacities of the organization. So that's a short answer to a you know
This is an interesting one. This is from a LinkedIn user. Do you need to make any changes in your models in North versus South India, or any part of India versus any part of India? That it fired
Yes. So at yeah. So at for us at Heifer and for passing gifts, we look at how do we develop locally led solutions. So and we call it sustainably locally led solution. So yes, the programming would be different in northern India. So for example, if we are working in Koraput in South Odisha, or if I'm working in Muzaffarpur in Bihar, that will be very different from what the work that I would do in Anandpur, say in Andhra Pradesh, because the farmers, the context is different.
I
But the underlying model would remain the same. Passing gifts, that is how we would work and embed it in our programming. But what we would focus on, how we would what we would do, that would vary depending on the place where we are.
the context of the farmer, of
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So Khushbu, since she worked very hard on the brand, she wants to know the impact, the direct impact of the brand definition internally. How did it help? Externally, how did it help for you?
So, so Khushbu, first of all, thank you so much for those endless calls and the amount of time that we have spent with you. I think this has really helped us because, the logo that we were able to create, it talks about the free flowing lines, that we were able to create where one geometric shape moves into another. It is symbolic of our brand's belief that when you, empower one, you are able to empower the entire community.
Life
So this
changing.
gave us a language. This helps us, when we are talking about our work. And we were also able to, because of the kind of work that we are doing and the work that is being done by the communication teams here as Passing Gifts, we have also been able to have a very good organic fan following increase because of the LinkedIn content that we are posting. So this brand definition did help us in terms of
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So, Reena, I've learned a new definition of leadership, a new definition of Bharat. It's been fantastic talking to you. Do you have any questions to the audience? Do you want more people to join you, for instance?
Yes, I would definitely, invite everybody that we are working for smallholder farmers, and
Right.
like I said, please join this movement so that we are able to transform the food systems in favor of the smallholder farmers, and we are able to, simultaneously also care for the earth, because this is what we owe, our debt of gratitude. So please join us in this movement.
Okay. We still have time for one last question. Do you get any help from government agencies? Is the question.
Yes, yes. Our entire philosophy and our program model that we work with is in terms of working with the government. So, for example, when we were able to crack a commercially viable backyard poultry model, we are closely working with the animal husbandry department, and we are also, working with the government under the scheme, which is their PPPAVCD, Public-Private Partnership Agriculture Value Chain Development. So the
I
work that we do in Koraput, around ginger, turmeric, etc., we are working closely with the government agencies.
fantastic. That's. Well, I'm extremely happy that we had this conversation, Rina. So much to learn. I think we'll have a longer conversation soon. But thank you very much. I'm sure we have thanked you in private many times for giving Chlorophyll this opportunity. And now I will thank you publicly. So thank you, Rina, for the opportunity. And viewers, thanks to all of you. Stay tuned for the bumper 15th podcast that will be coming soon. Thank you, Rina. Thank you, viewers.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chlorophyll team. Thank you so much, Kiran. Thank you.